Welcome to All Clear. This is Andrew,
I'm Joey.
and this is All Clear with Joey and Andrew. Um, this is our first episode. This is going to be just introductions, who we are, how we met, what we do, what we like, what we plan on doing, what our goals for whatever this turns into. But just two guys talking shit from thousands of miles away.
Thousands. Was it a couple thousand?
Yeah,
California, Missouri?
yeah, probably like I think it's like 1,500 or something like that.
1,500, yeah. It's a terrible drive, I remember.
I was in Missouri, dude, a few years ago. We drove through Missouri because, like, we went up. So I'm in, like, sort of Northern California, right? We drove, we were going to Michigan for a week. So we drove, stopped in, I stopped and visited the Purchase family.
You said Michigan for them.
Yeah, they're in Michigan. And then I visited Musto.
How's he doing?
That guy's weird, dude. I love that guy so much.
I know, but he's still doing all right. Yeah.
And then Waywood. I spent like a couple days with Waywood. We took Robert fishing. Went and shot some guns.
American Ducks. Is he still American Ducks?
Yeah, dude. That guy's all. We went and had a couple beers. We had dinner with his family. That was cool. Went out and got ice cream. And then, Sadler, dude. We went and had dinner with Sadler and his beautiful family, dude. Like
Hugler?
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger Sadler.
It's crazy, dude. Because I remember these guys, when we were young guns, and then now, to see families, kids running around and have our homes and like our lives. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Quite. But funny thing how we managed to go through certain things, less desirable that has to do with whatever it was back in the days. We go through them on same cycles. Funny thing about that.
Yeah. So for background, me and Joey, we met in 2007 in SOI, which is the School of Infantry in the Marine Corps. I think we probably met in December, like early December. Because we started November.
Because you were in the ends and I was in the C, so that's how they divide us for you Pogues. That would have been your MCT training. So we do that for the first 3 weeks. Excuse me, I didn't mean it as a derogatory, by the way, Pogues. Because every Marine a rifleman, of course. So you go through a pretty intense basic infantry training, and then you break off into your schools, and that's where we met. And we came back actually after the new year because stuff was closed down for the holiday, so they gave us we got like a pretty good time off and got the
we got like 2.5 weeks off for Christmas. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Dude, do you remember coming back to SOI? I was like, oh man, I got so I was like, damn, this sucks.
It was so.
I was like,
yep.
It's like going back to hell, and you willingly went back. And I mean, I want to be at that point. I was honor driven because after boot camp, and then after some stories are like, dude. Oh, by the way, when you're a boot marine, it's worse than boot camp, and you're like, what do you mean worse than boot camp?
Now, I always heard stories. I heard stories because I would hang out with like some guys that had hit the fleet like a couple months, and we'd meet up in Oceanside because of course we did. And
because he's already been there for his couple months, and you notice that. And then too, when you meet up with your buddy from your hometown, he's like changed from being in the fleet. He's like, oh god,
and
you're
hearing all these stories about senior lance corporals, and you go, oh, that won't happen with me. And then day one, dude, in 1-4, it was like, welcome back to hell.
Yeah. Sergeant Dix was so nice to us that last week in SOI. He's like, you guys, I'll get this stuff for you. And we were all like, dude, why is he doing nice things for us? He's like, yeah, your lives are about to be hell. I'm like, you're saying it so nicely, bro. It's not going to be as nice as you're making it sound. He was like literally trying his hardest to take our minds off of.
I think when Ren, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that he was Chris Wren's platoon sergeant in 227, I think, or wherever. I think I always get mixed up where Ren went, but I think he went to 27 after he left 1-4.
God, that dude like deployed 15,000 times after SOI. What a guy! I hope is he still kicking?
I don't know.
Man, we gotta find that guy. So we're gonna find Sergeant Dix.
Yeah. I think he's like a gunny now or master sergeant, something like that.
Yeah, probably if he's
It's got to be because that was 13 years ago.
Yeah, remember the pictures of the LAV he had totaled because he says, "Yeah, I wasn't paying attention and I was going really fast and then I had to take a ditch," and he shows like this LAV upside down that he had wrecked. You know, he's just a quality guy. He was such a badass, but he showed you he was a human. And
he was a great instructor. He was
a good instructor.
And then the instructors that we had, the actual 52s that we had that were only there for the classroom part. Remember those guys were cool. Remember the story I told you about humping the tow units to SOI?
Yeah.
We got to see them again, and I think I remembered one of them, and the other one I guess had a heart attack or something. And he was on light duty because he had a heart attack. I was dude, you don't get discharged because you had a heart attack?
No, not when they got that much money into him. One of them was a contractor, close to when we got out, and it was right before we deployed. We had to go do another Javelin refresher.
The Sabre system, right?
Yeah, or maybe I was learning a new Sabre system. Yeah, one of those systems.
That was when everyone else was at division schools, and we did the Raytheon Sabre course. That was when Bosley died.
Yep. Yeah. Motorcycle's such a bitch. They killed more Marines in combat, I think.
I remember because the 52s were the only ones left back in the squad bays. So Sadler, I think it was Sadler, myself, and then a couple other guys. We literally had one of those rubber trash cans. We filled that bitch with ice and then as much beer as we could fit, and we didn't rack out until it was gone. We were still drunk the morning of our final because that was the day after Bosley died, and the instructors are like, "Where's Bosley? He's supposed to be on top," and we're like, "Yeah, he's dead."
They're like, "Oh, well, fuck! They want to fuck, and we don't give a fuck." Probably going back to just cussing you.
And then halfway through the practical final where we're setting up because remember we had to set it up tripod mounted, and then we had to disassemble it and set it up. We had to stow it all in the truck, right? And then we had to set it up onto the truck. Right in the middle of that, I went from being drunk to being hungover, and I was like, "Oh no!" And it was, of course, it was hot, and they were like, "We want you to do it in full gear," and we're like, "Yeah, we're not doing that."
Yeah. See, we had lost Vines whenever I was in Shady Ones before I transferred to 3rd Platoon.
He died before Iraq, though.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It seems like we lost a lot of guys to motorcycles. I mean, all the time.
Yeah.
There was always just that's just for you people who are thinking about riding a motorcycle. Do you ride a motorcycle, Andrew?
No.
Hell no. Yeah, we were the 52s.
Dude, Ran almost died when he was in 29 Palms on a motorcycle. Some old lady pulled out in front of him, and he fucking got rocketed over. And he said that, if I remember correctly, he had his camis, he had his leather, and then his leathers, and it went all the way through the leather, and through his camis, you could see skin. He slid so far, and then the old lady was like, "You pulled into my lane," and he was like, "No, lady, you pulled out." And luckily there was witnesses and stuff, but I think his bike blew up. It caught on fire and stuff. And then he just recently sold his motorcycle, finally, because he's like, "I'm done riding bikes."
Yeah,
but,
I drove one once at 140 miles an hour in Oceanside, and was coming up on a curve and literally thought I was going to die before I ever deployed, and I survived it, and then I never got on it again because I knew I would get crazy because they're fun, and you're not meant to go that fast on two wheels.
Oh, but yeah, with no protection around you.
Yeah, unless you're Captain America, then okay.
Yeah.
You know, Wolverine, all right, whatever. But anyway.
So yeah, that was fun. What else? So we did. We deployed to Iraq in the same company, but different platoons. You were at Green. I was at Blackhawk. And then I'm sure we crossed paths a few times. But
oh yeah, it was always a pleasure to see. Dude, I mostly remember crossing paths as Boots and just like,
man, we should have ran, man. We should have ran.
Yeah, it's like, imagine Stewie and Brian after being like really drunk, but it's just like it's not being actual drunk, it's just being fucked up so much. You're probably drunk because you hate your life, but just like ran for no reason with logs up hills. And, hey, at the middle of night, you're sitting there minding your own business. Maybe you're off in limbo, but then your seniors dive through your fucking window and like put you in a chokehold, and like then. But if you defeat them, then of course they got their buddies, and I don't care who you are, but there's always that one senior who juices, and there's just nothing you can do about it. You might be able to kick all his friends' ass, but then he juices, and then that's that guy. And,
well,
it was just, yeah. They worked together. They were pretty amazing at keeping you freaking thrashed at all times.
Do you remember Powell? He was my senior, kind of short, stocky, or not short.
How long?
What's up?
How long was he with us?
He did Iraq with us. But he was.
Oh.
He was like, it was like a tradition. Friday nights, he would get drunk, kick my door in, and then challenge me to a wrestling match on the front lawn. And I would just get to a neutral position. I would just get to where I would or not even neutral, just to where he wasn't hurting me, but like I wasn't hurting him, because I knew that if I hurt him, then it would be like he would raise hell during working hours. And so occasionally he would pick me up and slam me down on the metal grate that was in the middle of the front. And I would just have to take it. And then eventually it got to the point where like they would just like point at the Boots. They'd be like, you, go. And you'd be like, what? And you would just have to start grappling, like no matter where we were.
Yep.
Like me and Strader did it at the Mount Town in the gravel pit. We had like a full-on grappling match.
Yeah.
That's where I learned about the triangle choke.
Yeah.
I had Leon too, so that was fun.
Leon though, what a guy, but he's still Leon. Don't mess with Leon, bro.
Yeah, very short fuse, especially when he's drinking.
Yep. Drinking was a thing. It was like having an abusive father, but you had many abusive fathers.
Yes.
that just kind of took away your soul and watched it go away, and then.
But would also have your back if they came up to you and you were like something was wrong.
Yeah, in a fucked up way, a good father material, because then you go to the environment that you were meant to go to, and then it's not so bad. When you get there, you're like, actually, this is pretty awesome. I mean, it's not like awesome, but there's a type of peace about it.
Yeah, and I think the most important part, like we've talked about previously, is that we knew that our chain of command, like it wasn't going to go to the top. It was going to stop at the platoon sergeant generally. Yeah. So if the platoons, like our platoon sergeant, saw the seniors going too crazy, they'd be like, yeah, maybe back it up a little bit. Or or he'd be like, okay, I'm going to haze them so that at least you get the day off.
I do remember those group formations that I was a part of after we had returned, when I came a member of y'all's platoon, when you guys still had your original staff sergeant.
I wasn't there. Because that happened in Iraq.
Well, you told me that one story, and then he gets us in a formation, says, "Come on, guys, I never hazed you. It was good training, but I never just flat out hazed you for no reason." And I'm like trying not to roll my eyes in fear of death, Yeah.
He was. That was our punishment. Or he would be like on like a Friday at 1400. He'd come up and he'd be like, or he'd call, right? Because like we honestly would go, we would see him in the morning at 7, right? And he would get like, we would PT, or no, it was generally like 6:30 or so. We'd PT, and then we would go to chow. We would go to breakfast, and he would tell us what we needed to do, and then we wouldn't see him sometimes even the rest of the day. He would just call and let us know we were off. But on Fridays, he had a tendency to, he would call and be like, if you want your libo brief, meet me on top of the alpha shelf. And so we would have to, you remember behind our barracks, they had you go up,
giant mountain.
Yeah, the giant mountain, and you'd look up there, and he'd be like waving. He'd be like, "I'm okay working Saturday and Sunday if I don't have to run up there." But then, and then he would be like, the slowest 2 people have to do it again. So you would get up your high horse and you'd freaking bust your ass up there, because you knew though that when you got up there, you were done. You were off. So. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you were off once all your seniors left.
Yeah, no, once he left.
Yeah.
Once he left, yeah, and then maybe if your seniors had a life.
Yeah.
A lot of them did.
Yep. Especially when you had seniors that were on restriction.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I escaped, not even by choice, on, because I guess they sent me to all the driving schools for some reason. This one sergeant, when I first got to my platoon, right after when I first got there, he assured me, because I was lead Vic, that I was going to die. But because I was moto, which when I arrived from SOI, I was in great shape, so I could run all my seniors because they were all alcoholics. So I was just like, man, screw these guys. Like,
well, and they just came off a month of leave.
Yeah, they just came off a month of leave, and this is before I didn't know anything. This is dumb me actually judging by dumb standards that I had no idea what was going on. I still, like, I'm the clueless one. I'm the retard of the group, of course, which is whatever, no big whoop. But I was in physically great condition when I first got to the fleet. And then Saunders gets back from machine gun leaders who didn't take leave. Then that's when shit got real. That's when he was like, I could grapple him and keep up with him, but he just, like, even if I beat him, he would just. He wouldn't stop.
It was round 2. You would beat him, and then it would just be, okay, let's go again.
Round 2, round 6, round 8, like 6 hours. It's a weekend. It's 6 hours, and I'm just like, dude, if I just, like, it got to a point to where I just stopped giving a shit and, like, just let them choke me out. I'm like, all right, dude, just fucking, all right, choke me out. Like, because he was just trying to train or whatever, because he had nothing to, and I ain't fucking dissing him. Like, he was just trying to train me the best or whatever, not like. But it was just like,
because you can only play your guitar as loud as it goes for a certain amount of hours per day before people get pissed off.
Yeah,
because that's what he did.
Yeah, that's what he did, and he's playing. I remember it's like in the barracks, just like he's sitting there, like, and I'm like, dude, it's like, and if I could literally just unleash on this guy how I want to, but I'm afraid because he's got all these buddies, and I got all my crew that's kind of broke down and scared, but then they have the higher up dudes that are like your staff sergeant, my staff sergeant E, who did like combat, who like used to be a gangbanging motherfucker, and he shows you evidence that he used to be a killing gangbanging motherfucker who went to like 10 different deployments killing gangbanging motherfucker because it's on file, and he's just like, he's so cool.
I have a great story about Staff Sergeant E in Iraq when I was at JSS.
Oh yeah?
With another one of our SOI compatriots, I think, with Fry.
Oh, good old Fry, man. Ooh, there's some of the horrible things about Fry. But anywho, I'd like to hear this Staff Sergeant E story.
Okay, so you remember the layout of JSS?
I do.
Okay, so the main building, right, where you slept, you would go in, and the main room was like the kind of the staging room, or like if the IPs came, that's where they would go. They weren't allowed into like our berthing areas. So then you went through the door, and it was like a hallway with rooms off the sides of it, right? And then that hallway was where the freezer was, and the refrigerator, and then like there was like cookies, the fat kid snacks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then so Staff Sergeant E, when you walk in, on the left side, he has his room there, and it's like the biggest room. It's like nice. He has his computer and stuff in there, and then off to the other side is basically a giant room with a bunch of bunk beds in there. There's like I think like 5 sets of bunk beds or something like that, and then one single bed rack, and the single rack was mine because I got in there first, and I took it because I wanted it. And so I remember I was technically in 3rd Platoon, but I got attached to JSS to stand watch on the post there with I was with McDowell, dude.
Yeah,
like,
good old.
We talked about so much stupid shit on there.
Oh, McDowell.
Cameron.
I named my son after he, actually. I like the name Cameron.
So I went to 3rd Platoon was doing something, and so I went over there and I was hanging out. And then so I'm like, okay, I got a couple hours left before post. I'm going to head back to JSS, take a nap, and then I'll be on post for 8 hours. And I walk through the first area, and the corporal of the guard isn't there. And I'm like, okay, he must be up on post relieving somebody. And then I open the door to walk into the second thing, and I see Fry with his rifle, and he's got it up on the shoulder, and he's like I'm about to shoot this place down, right? And fucking Staff Sergeant E comes out of his berthing because people are shouting like, put it down, and it's Doyle. Doyle's the COG, right?
Yeah.
And so
Doyle, yeah, because he was always COG at JSS.
Yeah, and he was like, Fry, put the fucking gun down. And Staff Sergeant E comes out, and he goes, like, short little squat Mexican dude, like straight all tats. Like his cover was never like, it was always off to like one side. Like he just fucking threw it on.
Yeah.
But he comes out and like Fry's like pointing it, and he goes, pull the fucking trigger, and Fry's like, and Esquivel grabs the barrel and slaps it away. He goes, that's what I fucking thought.
He just gets it. He doesn't care, dude. You can't kill what's already dead, motherfucker. Like.
And then like Fry knew that he was fucked. So like we're all like sitting around like, what the fuck happened? And that's when Fry zip ties himself to the pole of the bunk bed.
Yeah.
And he's like turning blue, and we're standing there and like we're like, hey Doyle, and he comes in and he pulls out his knife and he cuts the zip tie and he goes, Fry, don't try to kill yourself, and he turns around and walks out.
Yeah, probably did that. Another one of our homies, Todd, says the way he described it was Doyle comes out and says, Fry, you dumb fuck.
Yeah, he just fucking
he throws a dumb fuck. They always had to throw the dumb fuck in there, but. Like so many things, so many stories, but all these people represent an adaptation to an environment, and we're not talking about this to cast judgment on people, and I can understand why Fry did what he did.
I get it. Dude, fucking 9, I think probably 10 months at this time of being a whipping boy. And
dude, Fry did not belong, and that's a thing of them trying to make numbers. They should have let that guy go and said, hey bro, you tried, here's a star for trying.
But so he gets his rifle taken away and sent to Bahia, and in JPM he loses his rank. I see him, dude, back on Horno like a few months later, and he already outranks me again. He was already a fucking corporal again. I was like, damn it, dude. I know I messed up because this dude tried like threatened to kill people. He tried to kill himself, and he's already ranking up quicker. But I think that
when we first got to the fleet, actually, his roommate was another guy that actually would just get drunk. Another boot would actually just get drunk and beat the shit out of him. And he was like everybody hated him. He did one cool thing a couple of times, like he invaded the whole company, Fry. When he juked all in the desert. It's like he just jukes an entire company.
So
and everybody's like, you fucking pussy. It's like, that's actually kind of badass.
So okay, background info. So we are in 29 Palms in August, the hottest month of the year, and we are in basically out on a training op. We were there for like maybe a week at the little outpost area where he left from, and it's literally out in the middle of the desert. We are in a training area, and one day people are like, "Where's Fry?" And then like your platoon is scrambling around and stuff. And then my platoon, like, they're
We're
like,
gonna kill him when we find
like,
him.
they're like getting the trucks, and they're like, we're going out to find Fry. And we're like, what do you mean find Fry? Like, did you guys leave him behind or something? They go, no, dude, he took off. We're like, what do you mean he took off? We're in the middle of the fucking desert. And then we're like, we're driving around hours in open desert with tweakers. The only people out in this desert are tweakers and desert tortoises.
Desert tortoises that continuously try to go extinct, but we won't let them.
And then we get the call that he got apprehended in town because he was wearing his USMC, the green on green sweatpants and sweatshirt. And I think he had didn't he steal like a motorcycle or something? like a dirt bike?
I don't know.
But he got picked up.
He negotiated the note. I think he actually bought the dirt bike because I didn't have a problem with the guy. In fact, I try to talk to him and be nice to him. So he told me he acquired the dirt bike via like money wise because he had, he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Because everybody fucked him all the time, and he was always staying in duty, so he had just money saved up, and I'm pretty sure he paid $1,000 cash to get. Because he goes to like a PX, he gets some sweatpants and some just shit to throw on that's not Marine cami, so he don't get devil dog for being fucking camis in outside of like a base. Because that was a rule. That was pretty smart, but that's all they had was Marine Corps shit.
Sweatshirt, but it was a sweatshirt and sweatpants in August.
And he had his fucking card and withdrew $1,000 at multiple transactions, withdrew $1,000 ATM, and just fucking found a vehicle. Dude, I mean, I'm sure a civilian helped him because this dude was like literally fucking traumatized. I'm sorry I'm laughing, but this motherfucker was traumatized. I don't like, and that's how we deal with it. By the way, we just laugh about shit.
But I remember, dude, like he gets picked up, and they like bring him back. They bring him back and they're like, okay, well now there's a watch that is just gonna sit there and it's like Fry Watch. And and I remember like people, they were like, why did you not like wait for like a day when we were gonna drive to Mainside, like, and then just leave from there? Like, why did you attempt this in the middle of the middle of the desert? But I remember seeing him and talking to him after that, being like, dude, like, how much water did you take? He was like, like one water bottle. I was like, dude, that's, like, you seriously could have died. I'm glad you got picked up, dude.
Dude, they finally caught me, though. I literally skated through every field life as a boot until CAX, and they got me a month to themselves. But I earned Mendez's respect in that month of them fucking, and that was my ultimate reward, was earning the respect of McGlashan and Mendez. And even McGlashan kind of called my life as before he left. He's like, dude, you're gonna be harassed a lot because you're like ADD, but you're gonna pick it up, and when you pick it up, you'll get it well. He's like, I didn't really start getting this shit because he was kind of the same way. He's like, I didn't start getting this shit until actually my third set of boots, and that's you guys, but I got harassed as a senior even because I didn't give a shit about this shit for the longest time. So, and then he gave me a high five, left us in the middle of Iraq. Fucking songs written about the excellence of McGlashan, who gave us terror because on the weekends he never fucked with you. Hi, I'm Adam, and you're like, yeah, but at working hours, dude, he just. I remember like terrifying.
I went over to like your guys' side of the barracks. It was like a Saturday night or something. It was because we would have barracks parties, right? And you would just go like room to room, and whoever was there, and you would just stop in and hang out or see what they're doing because you were literally bored. Because this was 2008, so there wasn't like Wi-Fi, like the Wi-Fi, like only I think like 3 or 4 people had internet. Or you could, like one guy in the platoon would get internet and everybody would kind of leech off of it and like all pitch in for the build. That's what I did with Hackworth and Tottage. But I was like the furthest room away, so like if anybody in between us was using the internet, I couldn't get service. So like technology sucked, so you would basically see who was there, who was playing, Xbox or whatever, or you would try to be out in town as much so that you wouldn't run into the seniors.
Yeah, you got the hell out of there, especially because that's what I mentioned earlier is how like when I met my buddy from my hometown, I had a couple people left quiet. I met him in the hometown. We're out in Oceanside. We're SOI dorks because we had another one of our brothers full boated Indian. I could say his Indian name, Yucatiwa, and he was with us, and then we met up with him because he knew all the hot spots at Oceanside, and all the hot food spots, and we got beer. He had a car even, and but the whole time he's just like, what? He's like, dude, what are you looking for? He's like, dude, my seniors, bro. And he's like, dude, honest to God, he's like, I didn't really tell you because you're like still in that fun phase that I was in whenever I was doing my combat or when he did his training. And his training was like 6 months long, need I mind you. And he was like, yeah, you're about to die. So I'm sitting there the whole time just knowing, and then Sergeant Dix was nice. It was, and then I skipped an entire field op just, I'm about to die, and I get the Cax.
Yeah. Oh, well, also another Fry thing. He was driving the Humvee that fucking he almost killed Algren. You remember?
Oh, he almost killed
Algren. Not Algren. Alkire.
Yeah. Yeah. And Morgan's since then had another wreck and a stop on a motorcycle, nonetheless. It had a stop sign to his jugular, so his brain was exposed after the wreck with Fry, which we thought strongly about sending Fry to go pick him up for shits and gigs. But that got vetoed by like somebody, and then I've stayed in kind of contact with him or just comment on him here and there, and I love the story about how he's had a stop sign to his neck, and I think there's some sort of event where he should be dead. And I think he might now be kind of like not trying to attempt death so many times.
Well, the Humvee, like side of the Humvee was like separated.
And these things weren't meant to be that heavy either. The government just slapped some armor on these Humvees, by the way. They weren't meant to carry this much, and so that's why they were so easy to like. If you wreck going 55, it's Fry somehow alive.
That was why Fry was the target of everything, because he was a boot and he fell asleep. But he said, I fell asleep because my seniors kept me up. And then so all the seniors got in trouble, which really meant that they had to teach us to keep our mouth shut, even though we weren't telling anybody it was Fry.
Yeah, Fry, good old Fry, yeah.
I just figured that because a few times we had in our platoon, the seniors would attempt to go too far, and one of the boots would stand up and be like, we're not doing that. And they would be like, okay, well, there's, like, literally, because we were about even. There was like 10 or 12 of us. And at any one time, there was only, a dozen of them. So it was like, if this went down, like, it's going to be a decent fight. Like,
yeah.
If we revolt, like, you guys there's a chance that we're going to beat the shit out of you, too.
Yeah. And those are the good, that's what is actually, when you're confident enough to understand your job and you're tired of the shit, that's when, that's when you grow. That's the absolute moment you grow into, like, a real Marine. And it happens different times for different people. Who knows? Fry could have went to another unit, and there's plenty of stories we had. Speaking of the guy Renopedia, which love the freaking Renopedia, knows some great facts. The safest guy in the world had a motorcycle wreck. Goes on. It was kind of like me. Got a little harassed for being nice and just cheery, and goes on his Afghan deployment and just basically, I'm not going to say anything too stupid, but he does what we all were trained to do, like a boss. He's just bossed out, basically. And he's just, always been a hell of a guy, and it's nice to see that he went somewhere else and flourished.
Yeah.
And then is still flourishing. So we had a lot of effed up leadership issues, and there was a big time between Bush and Obama. So in our unit has a weird thing with funding because we were the bastard battalion. Those are good. I guess that's why they call us the bastard battalion. So there's a lot of politics.
Well, we our unit was like the only Marine Corps unit to ever surrender in battle.
Army General surrendered for us. Yeah.
But he surrendered our colors. That's why we weren't allowed to fly our battle streamers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also, that we were like the horse marines. Like we had horses, and then we ate them all. They got hungry and they ate them.
Yeah. And that's a no-no to like nights. You don't eat your horse. You die with the horse. And as far as that goes, I don't know. I'm not judging them for eating a horse.
I'm telling you,
if
World War II, I'm on an island 10,000 miles away from home, and I'm starving. I'm gonna eat the fucking horse.
I'm gonna fucking devour that horse. So yeah, that's some crazy Templar shit. That like some crazy traditions that we should, take a look at. Like, okay, we're not as animals as we once were. Maybe I don't know. Call me crazy.
Yeah, so we did Iraq. We were boots, not together, but same company. Yeah. Then after Iraq, some hazing incidents and hazing allegations were thrown around, and we ended up in the same platoon, and then in the same truck for a majority of I would say the rest of our time, right?
Yeah.
And then we were in Mike platoon, which was the short timer platoon.
Oh yeah,
when we got home.
Those are funnest days of your life, the Mike platoon days. I tell you what.
I remember, dude. It was like 5:25 one morning, and I had my alarm set for 5:30. I was actually gonna wake up in Mike platoon, right? Mm-hmm. And I was gonna get dressed. I was gonna go to chow. I was actually not hungover, and freaking the master sergeant that we had on our second deployment comes bursting in my room at 5:25, screaming to turn the lights on and open the drapes. And I looked at him, and I just like looked at, and I was like, dude, I'm getting out in like 2 weeks. Like I have nothing. Yeah. I have nothing left to offer you. You won't let me talk. Like, do you? I was so hurt, like personally, when our boots got their boots, and we were told that we weren't allowed to talk to them.
Yeah. Because we were the last of the kill. I like to. Like the generation kill, we were literally the last of the generation kill, and they did not want to portray that kind of military anymore because that part of the war was over, so it was a quick transition. And they literally, like the guy that I mentioned, Saunders, the guy who he just didn't give up. Well, you guys got the new set of boots, and he went the same on them. And these were our boots were people coming in from their session, so they thought they had experienced real world, so they knew better than us. They might have known the real world better than us and been successful in the real world, but they did not know this world. And that came to show when it was time for combat stuff, when they all failed the combat test and they couldn't pass the combat test and blah, 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 because our leadership was so been through enough wars, and they came to this to avoid it. And it all makes sense if, I'm sorry, I'm doing that Boomhauer thing and not going into great detail.
It was a different... In between our first deployment and our second deployment is when the military shifted to more politically correct, to more feelings over readiness. It was transitioning back to being a more peacetime Marine Corps where every once in a while a certain unit would go to a combat area.
Because of the president's own, and things popped off, and they needed some people to go kick some maybe some pretty much hitman. If you think of president's hitman, very, very vicious hitman.
Yeah. So we got the shit under the stick on both times because we were the last generation to get hazed and the first generation to get charged with hazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're obviously not the first ones to get charged, but we were like mass charged. Like it was like every senior was getting charged.
They enforced that shit. Saunders got kicked out, and all the work he did for his country was, I don't know. I think he's doing well actually.
I remember talking to, because I was in that same group of allegations against Saunders, but I was never named personally. And because the guy kept a notebook, he like recorded everything and like sent it home to like his parents, and his parents like contacted the senator, and then so it came down from like the Senate to the base commander, who then it basically, when they say shit rolls downhill, this rolled all the way down the hill. and with names and specific instances. So I remember getting called in and just being like telling them, because like I knew that they were going to make an example out of Saunders and Sparks, which it's all Sparks' fault because he fought that boot and then it all came out.
He got
not even fought.
Getting hammered.
He attacked him when he was drunk. Which he has his own, maybe he had his own demons or whatever. I don't really know him. All I know him really is from that interaction.
His claim to fame was he killed Jabber Jossum, some famous sniper from their other deployment.
I heard about that, but I heard somebody else did it.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
I heard that Shaw did it.
Who?
Shaw,
yeah, that's what I heard. Likely, because Shaw's...
Well, I heard that somebody else had a shot from the turret, but something happened with the gun, whether he froze or the gun malfunctioned, but I heard that Shaw ultimately took the shot, and then Jossum blew himself up, but that Shaw's the one that put the last round into him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And Jabber Jossum, it probably wasn't the original one because it's like the Zorro name. It just gets passed on to whoever individual whatever. It's some dude with a freaking rifle.
He was like a suicide bomb like manufacturer.
Yeah,
and
they did get blown up a lot on their deployment. I mean, that's
I remember like Ski. You remember Ski? He was my senior. He showed me on his flag. He's like, you see the stain right? You remember the old the ones that you would do that with? You would close like a coat. He had a stain there, and he goes, you know what that is? I go, no. He goes, that's a suicide bomber's throat. Like a bomber blew up, and like he was like literally like a movie, dude. It like rained down on him, like yeah. But what were we talking about? Oh, Saunders. So Saunders lived in the...
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just because it's like the things. It brings back just memories of all the...
So in the squad bay, we lived by trucks when I was in Cat 1. So it was Saunders, since he was a super senior or a grandparent, as we would call him.
Yeah,
he had the option to have his own rack. He said no, that he wanted to take one of... It was me, Saunders, 2 boots, and our VC was one of the guys that came from the other unit. So...
what was his name? Brunges?
No, it was Corral.
Corral. Don't know the guy. Never.
He ended up going to the armory after. But so we lived in trucks. So I had 1 boot, Saunders had 1 boot, and Corral lived out in town. And Saunders and we were like in charge. These were like our boots, right?
Wasn't D-Wood in there somewhere?
So Waywood was he was in another truck. And
okay.
So,
but he was in the platoon.
Yeah.
Because I heard he became ruthless upon his return.
He was. He wasn't ruthless. He was nitpicky, but he was like, "You're gonna do it how I tell you to do it. Don't
him
like."
And Saunders had a great connection.
Oh yeah, they were great because they would kick machine gun classes, like all day. Our boots were great. Were perfect, and then. Like, we would always, because we had Rankle, we had Vasquez, we had
Vasquez, big Vasquez?
Yeah.
Dang.
He was a section leader, and then Rankle was the other section leader.
Finally, when stuff was going how it should have, Vasquez was the most knowledgeable machine gunner.
We were shit hot because Rankle would run PT, Vasquez would run knowledge.
Yup.
So,
Vasquez had just...
And then Vasquez would, if our boots messed up, we got in trouble, right? And if our boots did good, we got praised, and then we praised them, right? And then it all broke down because Saunders allegedly, I wasn't there, I didn't see it, allegedly got drunk, and one of the boots he said was rushing towards him, and so he had no choice but to hip check him into a wall locker. And I said,
But that boots him.
yeah,
Sorry.
but so that was kind of the first thing that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. But I remember like Saunders was, he would, his big thing was he would drink and he didn't know how to cut off work because he would just be sitting there and he would think of something and he would start being like, hey, what's the max range of this? And then they wouldn't know it, and then he would get mad and he would get kicked into a machine gun class.
And he had a point, like,
because he was a great machine gunner.
Yeah, he was and that's what I'm saying. Not to stick up for I am sticking up for the guy. He was the best freaking gunner I had of all time, and I literally could drive blindfolded with this guy as my gunner, and we did. And we like in field. I didn't avoid every field op. I did hit some really of those crucial field ops where everybody was there. Those company field ops, and that's where I actually paid my dues too.
That's the thing. We did in our workup. We were in the field almost every week.
Yeah,
so if
those micro field ops, but the big field ops, I was there.
Yeah, there was no way that I think any of us made it to every single field op our first workup.
Yeah.
Because it was literally because they would be like, oh, you have dental, just stay back. If you have medical, just stay back. If you have this course, just stay back. Because we would leave to the field early ass Monday morning. We would come back Friday, usually around noon. We would clean weapons and we'd turn them in. We were off. It was easy. Yeah. Like, you would get the packing list Friday for the next field up. But, I think like I said earlier, the thing that really brought the spotlight down was Sparks attacking that dude.
Yeah.
And
those boots were coordinated and actually as well on the back end of things. We're good at like being civilians, I suppose. We're good at doing whatever and then going backdooring you. And I'm not dissing that tactic either. It's just they were good at that. They were very well coordinated as people, and that's what they did well was politics. They did that very well.
Well,
not so much on the war side. But.
They didn't follow the chain of command. They didn't tell us. If they would have told the seniors, we would have taken care of it. But they went to the platoon sergeant first, or first sergeant. One of them went to first sergeant first. And I remember first sergeant came in and he was like, I'm not telling you guys like hazing's okay. I'm telling you don't haze them. I'm telling you this and this, but I'm telling you that I should never be talking to this guy. And we were like, yeah, we get it, first sergeant. That was the one we had in Iraq before he left. And he was like, if they're coming directly to a first sergeant, something's wrong. And so we snapped that out, but it wasn't because we had we went softer like. We were like, hey, you guys are off, dude. That's your time. Like we very, very rarely, and it was usually with permission, would do anything after the whole company was off.
Yeah, like the whole idea of what I did as a senior, because I didn't like yelling and stuff, and I was a corporal nice guy, but I just provided a model what you should be, and I just like chow wise, it's like, when do we get chow? I was like, dude, fuck chow.
Yeah,
you'll get chow. Like I didn't eat chow when my seniors were around. I didn't eat chow. I didn't go to the chow hall. It wasn't a necessity. And when you get to Iraq, and I was on OP Green, there was one chow a day that was it guaranteed? No, because we didn't get supply runs. We had to do our own supply runs. We had to barter and negotiate locally and do some wheeling and dealing and do some things. We got one chow a day, but I got down to about 130.
Well, it's like chow. The big rule in the field, chow's continuous, right? If you have a chance, sit down and eat, because we don't know the next time you're going to get a chance.
Yeah.
So like we used to tell our boots, because they'd be like, can we go to chow? We'd be like, you can go to lunch and be back in an hour or so, or we could just get this shit done with, and we could be off. Like,
they never actually get off, but that's just they give us our missions and tell us the word, and we just pass the word along what they're telling us.
Or we tell them like, hey, shoot. we tell them like, hey, get 2 guys and do a PX run, and then we can continue doing what we're doing, and in the hopes of being released sooner. But they would want to go to Cho, whatever. That was their.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we had to let him because they would just go to First Sergeant, and he would just do his thing. He got just pissed having to deal with it, so he, that was what was shitty about it. Like all that, whatever we did in Iraq, the good times of Iraq, went out the window because it was just redo it again. Prep for another deployment, and that's just how it was. And we were the last of this generation, and he's Marine Corps was his life, and that was his choice, so he had to adapt to his life to try to go for that sergeant major. And shit.
Well, he got it.
Yeah, he got it, and that's good. I'm glad. Like he wasn't a bad leader whenever he wasn't bad to go to Iraq with. And
I remember like during our second workup. I messaged him on Facebook. I was like, "We miss you, we want you back. Your replacement was worse."
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things you didn't know you had a good thing until it was gone. But hey, I mean, I picked up some things. That dude knew how to conduct business. And,
yeah, he was definitely good on the admin side. He was squared away.
Dude. Yeah, he was definitely a shady motherfucker. Like, definitely a shady motherfucker, but, not in a... Yeah, pretty fucking shady, but I still liked it. Hell, fuck it. I don't care.
Okay. So, that takes us up to our second deployment and basically getting out. And then we went our own ways. I got out in April of 2011. And then you got out pretty soon around then, right?
Yeah, April, May, June, July 15th, 2011.
Yeah, so a few months later, and then, so we didn't really talk. I mean, a couple Facebook messages here and there.
Yeah, at the beginning, for sure, because it's a big adjustment at the beginning. It's like, it feels awesome at the beginning. Remember signing them EAS papers, and they're like, you gotta go get this signature, but they're like, you gotta go butcher a unicorn, but first, before you butcher him, you have to make friends with him, and then get him to consent to this butchering action. It's really more of a sacrifice. And then you gotta go to this guy who's just about to get out, and you gotta catch him at 3 o'clock on this afternoon, but there's a line to see him. How's he getting?
So, yeah, when you first out, it's glorious, right? It's like, I would assume it's probably what it feels like when you get out of prison. And...
institutionalized.
And unfortunately, I lost contact with most of the guys, just because I wanted to. I don't know. You get kind of worn down being around the same guys every day, but then when you're not around them anymore, you realize that it was actually a really cool time.
Yeah.
And that you had a lot of fun, and you were able to be yourself, because there was literally there was no judgment, because judgment didn't matter. You could be like, oh, this guy's a dork, I don't ever want to hang out with him, but guess what, you're gonna live in a fucking room with him for 7 months, so
very close room, and it's so God bless America. But you know what, you did your job, and that's actually, you come to find out, a person shows himself by how he does his job and defends the homies.
Yeah.
Defends the nest, if you will. And that's what you learn to accept the facts about somebody, like me being who I was, and then not exactly articulate with words because ADHD, and then I find my spot because I'm good at certain things and found my use, and then you guys knew how to talk to me. You guys all learned to speak Joey, which was freaking awesome.
Well, that's the thing is you learn how to say, if I needed you to do something, I wouldn't necessarily come and tell you to do it. I would tell your buddy, because he knows how to talk to you, and be like, hey, can you get Caldwell to run down and do this? And then he would be like, hey, Caldwell, you want to run down and go to the truck? And you'd be like, yeah, let's do it. And then you do it, and it was like, okay, it's done. You learn these connections and certain pathways to take, stuff like that. And then you get out and you're all on your own, and you're dealing with, people. I'm not gonna. It's not a negative slight on them, but they just haven't been through the same stuff.
Yeah, when somebody tells you about something that, and you learn this maybe, or I learned it through college, and studying, but you're talking to somebody about something that stresses them out, which may be, oh, I got a pimple or something, and you're like, I've been to war!
Yeah.
I don't care about life or death! It's like, you know, and you try to make up for this time you lost as a kid, because when I had these high school homies that would just keep fueling me about the good times, because to me, like, I was doing the Marine Corps for just like, maybe like I wanted to be a Marine because of the commercials, and I played Halo. Like it's shitty. I didn't have a lot of direction in life. And
it seemed like a cool thing to do, right?
Yeah, because of the dragon sword. That's what I did. But I had a decent enough family to where I was honor bound to stay and do the Marine Corps, like at pure honor and death before dishonor. I was not going to give up. I was going to make it through this, and because, you know, I wasn't conditioned for it or whatever. I've never been challenged hard in my life about anything. I in a lot of ways, in some ways I didn't. I failed to see the beautiful part about what we were going through. But I learned about a lot of what we went through later through education. So, like, you know, this human I'm stressed about, this pimple is the exact, because humans feel stressed the same way, because our brain can only sense so many things. It feels the same as how we do it, but we disconnect because there's other emotions and other things that have been fueled in our brain, and just about things we're going to dive into, these little bedeeps that I go off into. That's what our plan is to do, people, if you're watching this, is to fill you in on this experience. We're going to just talk about life. I'm sorry I got into a tangent. I do that, but we have something to offer everybody with
Well, I think it's kind of like you ship out, right? And it's almost like being frozen for like 4 years. And then you get thawed out and you go home, and in your brain, things kind of froze when you left home, right? But then you get home 4 years later, and 4 years has passed. But in your mind, it's still how it was, you know, when I was 17. It was like, oh, let's go here. And they go, oh, you know, that place shut down. And it was like, geez, when? Oh, like 3 years ago? It was like, oh, my God, I forgot I was gone for, you know, 4 years. Like I don't have friends from high school because they all moved on because 4 years passed.
Grad school, like all my cool friends that I enjoyed were like, they're like doctors now. So I'm like,
yeah. And then, you know, finding out that not a lot of skills translate unless you want to be a cop or a security guard or or you know, run a private security, like be a contractor. Which, you know, it's cool for some guys do that and they thrive, and then some guys don't.
Now there's other skills that you learn, but it's definitely not balanced. Like you the whole pack your crap up, put it back, pick it up, put it back. The Marine Corps is all about being somewhere at any moment during the time, within 90 days. Yeah.
So, you know, it's... I'm sure that more skills than we think translate, but you do learn how to deal with difficult people. You learn how to deal with language barriers. You learn how to deal with subprime conditions. You know, lots of stuff like that. But it's hard to find that translation sometimes, especially when you're going through shit.
That's hard. That's what we're aiming to do here. Is we're you know, there's certain parts about my life that I obviously need to get in balance, because I do plan on continuing education to at least a master's, because I want to teach children and teach the future to be better. Because there are some things about the military that could have been changed that I really feel like could have made us just as effective warriors, just as effective, even if not more effective, because it's these epic tales of people doing something out of love, and they accomplish these wonders, like one dude slays a battalion of enemies because of love, you know, or because he has a driving force to protect what he loves. And then there's the army that gets slaughtered because they were slaves and forced to do so. And
there's definitely a lot of I would say outdated ways that the military is run. you would think that something that's been around for 200 and what is it, like 240 something years now would have been figured out, but like I think it's because you get guys that have, when they were first in, 20 years ago, they were like, oh, we should do it this way and it'll make it much better. But by the time they get into a place where they can implement that, it's already 20 years outdated.
Exactly, because of the the research and all the evidence needed in our scientific process, plus certain things being illegal, and what's humane and what's not, and that's the different interpretations of information of different leaders.
It's taking, I think, a big thing too is taking non-military opinions and implementing them into how things are done.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine if the what was it? The Mothers of America had known about D-Day before, like, they landed on the beach. Like, they would have been, they would have lost their mind. But, I remember in boot camp them telling us that we can't say kill anymore because the Mothers of America don't like it.
Right. And, okay, and people fail because we do...
Sorry, Joey is having crotch goblin difficulties. Sorry, I'm laughing.
Lost my train. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought.
It's funny seeing your kid cry when it's muted because there's no sound coming out. But
she's totally faking it. I don't know if you could see a close up of her face, but she's literally faking it too, just to get attention. Oh my god! So I guess we probably have, but okay. So back on point. So we are actually literally just animals. Okay, so in third world countries, and this country has something beautiful that's more beautiful than the rest of the world, and a lot of people want, and it takes extreme measures to do these. And there's probably several ways to do it better. But once we figure our crap out as a world, we still have the factor that we are on a rock going around a ball of fire, and there's other things out there that are going to try to kill us. So we always got to be ready for a type of combat, and we need to do a better job in figuring out the human mind and being better.
For us,
not softer.
Everything has to go right for us, but only one thing has to go wrong. Like...
even if it's not aliens, what if it's a meteorite coming and we have to send a team of people who probably know that they're not coming home?
Yeah, what if we get like a bunch of people that are like oil drillers, and they train them how to land on the asteroid, and they have to drill a hole and drop a nuclear weapon down into the middle of it. And then like
some Bruce Willis shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like a Bruce Willis guy. We can send them instead of the astronauts. Which if you can train oil rig workers how to be astronauts, I think you can train an astronaut how to dig a hole on.
I mean, Elon Musk is talking about this Neuralink, and under the right conditions, I'm definitely for that, because if you had a Neuralink, then you can theoretically control a robot body to do all this, and nobody has to die.
Let's save this for the next episode.
Oh.
So keep that thought, because we're at over an hour right now.
Yeah, and then we got she needs her ice cream, so
So we will end it here. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to doing more episodes, talking about more topics, shooting the shit, having some guests on, having a good time. So I'm signing off. Joey, you good?
All clear.
All right, all clear. Talk to you guys later.